Hey friends, what's going on? It's back to the normal Monday morning. It's almost 10. Just gonna do a quick hello. I'll do live again. I'll try to do a live one later in the day. Maybe I can catch some of you folks who aren't around when early. Maybe you can catch me live later. So I'll try it again sometime. In the lives that I did, people kept asking me what I'm reading. And actually, the last book that I was reading was the book about the band that I was in, Scudder, that came with the box set. But yesterday I pulled a book. Well, actually, the book came up during my visit with Pat B on Christmas Day. And so I kind of just, what I like with books like this is part of the Four Agreements series, Mastery of Self, the Toltec Guide to Personal Freedom. I really recommend these books. It's not about Don Miguel Ruiz or his son who wrote this book. It's not about them. It's about the information that they're sharing, which is universal wisdom, but the way that they share it is pretty clear. And when it was introduced to me, I needed it so bad, and it was really helpful. I'll talk about some music if I don't forget, but I want to share this because I opened the book and it came up to the part, it's perfect. The Parasite and the Ally. William Burroughs, I think, is the person who came up with the concept first, that language is a virus. And then Laurie Anderson made a song called that. Makes sense to me that language acts like a virus. And that's kind of what the book talks, or what it says here. In their tradition, they refer to the voice in your head, and we all have them, as the narrator, okay? And the narrator can act as an ally or a parasite. And a lot of times the parasite comes in through domestication, stuff that we were taught to believe, but is not necessarily true. Most of it is not, okay? Let me just read what it says right quick. The voice of the parasite uses your beliefs, formed through domestication and attachment, to hold power over you by placing conditions on your own self-love and self-acceptance. The parasite keeps you trapped in the fog, unable to see the truth of who you really are and the potential of what you hold in your heart. And this is really, I'll stop there, but this whole line of thinking is just so instructive and helpful to me, because it helped me to realize that one of the biggest obstacles to personal freedom is false beliefs that, and also by not realizing that the words and thoughts of others are merely that. They have no power over us until we internalize them, and that's what we do. Say, for example, you get up in the morning and you put on your favorite sweater. I put on my favorite sweater and I'm feeling good. And say I go to the store and just out of the blue, some person just says, "What an ugly sweater." Now, I was fine up to that point. I still could be, but this is the challenge that most people that we all need to address, which is, that person uttered words. Does that make it a reality? Generally speaking, we make it reality. We take the words on, we personalize them. He said my sweater's ugly. Did I make a mistake? You start to doubt yourself. When in all that's happened is that someone else spoke. That's their reality. It does not have to be yours. This is something I've been trying to share for years on my channel here as I deal with unsavory people. who try to come along and try to knock you off your horse. See it clearly. See what they're up to. Intent is important. You know, what is a person's intention? Okay. Best I can figure, if I'm living my life and minding my own business, there is no reason for anyone else to have an intention to cause me harm or to disrupt my peace of mind. And yet, don't we all deal with this all the time, or in different ways in life, where people come along full of their shit and they crap it on you, and we often unsuspectingly don't realize we have protection from this internally, and we take it on. We react, we don't think, and when we react, you immediately take on what they said. It's like you believe it. Your sweater's ugly. Hey! Immediately, they got me. I'm off my balance. Whereas I could respond like this. They'll go, ugly sweater. Just keep on moving. That's what they said. It's an ugly sweater in their head. I don't live in their head. The only moment the sweater was ugly, in my experience, was when that person said it, if I chose to take on what they said. Try to get this, people. I'm working on this stuff all the time personally. It's very powerful, and it just really relieves me a lot of anxiety and stress by seeing through other people's bullshit, and also by helping me to put myself in check when I need to with my own bullshit, because I'm human too, see? It was interesting, Pat, I know you're going to see this. When we were talking on Christmas, I'd bring up certain things, and I would bring up human foibles, and you would respond like most people do, which is, well, yeah, other people, I don't do that. And we would keep talking, and then it would become obvious, well, yeah, it includes you too, Pat. See, anyone that steps to me trying to say that they're above or they're outside of these issues is... I'm not listening to them at all, because they don't know what they're talking about. Okay, we're all in this mess. Some records I played yesterday: Tangerine Dream, the Sessions 2. I've warmed up to set this recent version of the band for a long time. I was just bored with Tangerine Dream and only wanted to listen to the early stuff. This stuff is good. Yeah, this is good stuff. Camberwell Now. I didn't talk to Charles Hayward, but that reminds me that on Christmas I heard from several known people. That means a lot to me. All of you mean something to me, but when I get Merry Christmas from members Henry Cow and the band Modern English, and I hear from people who were in the band Magma wishing me Merry Christmas and stuff, that means a lot to me. Yeah, that's the currency that I'm interested in, not the greenbacks. The greenbacks are a necessity. I'm not into money. Those little perks, like when I shared live meeting Snakefinger and having him remember me, years later at the Residence show, it's worth more than gold. And when Charles Hayward, the original drummer from This Heat, was his band, Camberwell Now. This is excellent. Really daring music. When he befriended me on Facebook and then started a conversation about social activism, and we're still friends, that's the shit. That's the shit. That's what means something to me. I started to play this and I took it off because the timing wasn't right. It was next to Camberwell Now in the C section. So I said, well, I haven't listened to this in a while, so I'll pull it. CA Quintet, Trip Through Hell. This is collectible, but this is not the collectible version. It's a reissue. And I see why it's collectible and why it stood out at the time. This was made back in the 60s, I'm pretty sure. And this is 1969. there's a Halloween aspect to this, but it's also very it's like a movie. It's like you weren't hearing records like this at that time often, so I understand why. But it was not the right mood for me last night. Hadn't played any in a long time. This is one of my okay. I can say that this has some favorites parts on it. But between this and Wardenclyffe Tower, I guess those were my two favorite Allan Holdsworth albums. But even then, it's like I still, if I say favorite, then something else will come up and say, oh, see, that's why I don't do the favorite things. I just know that Allan Holdsworth's Sand is, I love this album. I like when he plays the guitar more than the syntax. But this is about the time that I saw him on tour. I had my CD copy of this and took it with me and got it signed by Allan. I love this album, and rest in peace, Allan. Todd Rundgren came up again. He's been popping up in my feed on YouTube, and I love Todd Rundgren. Met him a couple times, and he has copies of my records, my early records. Still has them. When he was calling himself Runt for the first two albums, both those albums are great. Ballad of Todd Rundgren. This has one of my favorite melancholy songs, The Wailing Wall. Wailing Wall. That's an example of the type of song and music that I'm most interested in. Beauty and something that touches me. But it doesn't have to sound like this, because that's not the key. You never know how music's going to hit you, So that's why when people ask me questions about genres and stuff, those questions to me are mundane and not interesting. We necessarily have to label things, but those labels are also very limiting. And so I just really mostly want to ignore the labels and just check out the essence and the content of what's going on. That's what I encourage regarding listening to music, art, and life, is to just take things at face value. See what it is in it for you. Like in the music groups, when people will, when we post records and people will ask that question, how does it sound? How is it? I really dislike that question. Because it's like, if you really want to know, you'll find out. Especially in the days of nowadays, it's nothing for me to see something I've never heard and to do a couple clicks and find it online and listen, if I'm interested. So, a little rant there. Okay, you guys. If you've got a good glowing feeling going, and if it was boosted by the holidays, try to keep it going. That was my comment on Facebook yesterday. It would be nice if the extra helping of niceness that goes around during the holidays, wouldn't it be nice if we actually made an effort all the time?